All of a sudden, we realized that we may have to rewrite all the textbooks about the beginning of the universe. Something is wrong. We may have to revise our theory of the creation of the universe.
15 billion miles away, a tiny machine from the 1970s is screaming a warning back to Earth. After a terrifying silence, Voyager One is working again, but the data it's sending is chilling. It has crossed into interstellar space and found that our solar system is a tiny protected bubble. What lies beyond that shield is a cosmic storm of unimaginable power and complexity that was translated just moments ago. The long silence. In late 2023, the unthinkable happened. Voyager One, our lonely sentinel in the cosmic dark, stopped making sense. For 46 years, it had been our faithful correspondent from the abyss, a journey that took it past the gas giants and into the unknown. Now, from an almost unimaginable distance of 15 billion miles, its messages turned to gibberish. The stream of data that had been painting a picture of interstellar space devolved into a repeating, useless loop of code. For months, NASA held its breath until now. This wasn't just a technical glitch, it was an existential crisis. Our only direct link to the space between stars was severed. The probe, running on less computing power than a modern car key fob, was lost in the dark. Engineers at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory faced a nightmare scenario. How do you troubleshoot a computer from the 1970s when it takes a radio signal over 22 hours just to reach it? Each command sent into the void was a shot in the dark, with a nearly 2-day wait for a reply that kept coming back garbled. Believe it or not, some insiders whispered that the initial corrupted signal wasn't random. For a few brief moments before the main failure, the telemetry allegedly flickered with patterns that mimicked known stellar pulses, almost as if something was trying to talk back. This was quickly dismissed, of course, but the rumor lingered in the tense halls of mission control. The official cause was a mystery. Had a random cosmic ray finally dealt a fatal blow? Or had our little probe wandered into a region of space so hostile that its very mind was torn apart? The silence stretched from weeks into months. The team was facing the real possibility that Voyager One was gone for good, its final secrets locked away forever. But the most brilliant minds at NASA weren't giving up. They were about to attempt the most audacious long-distance repair in human history, a desperate act of digital CPR on a dying machine billions of miles from home. What came next was nothing short of a miracle. After painstaking analysis, engineers pinpointed the problem. A single corrupted memory chip in the flight data subsystem, the part of Voyager's brain that packages science and engineering data to send back to Earth. Just 3% of its memory was fried, but it was enough to cripple the entire system. The culprit was likely one of the very things Voyager was sent to study, a high-energy galactic cosmic ray, a tiny particle moving at nearly the speed of light that had slammed into the decades-old hardware. The irony was brutal. The probe was wounded by the very environment it was sent to investigate. The fix was audacious. Since they couldn't repair the broken chip, they decided to slice up the affected code and carefully tuck it into other smaller sections of the system's memory. It was like performing remote brain surgery from across the solar system, writing and transmitting new code for hardware built when disco was still on the radio. They had to be perfect. One wrong line of code could silence Voyager forever. On April 20th, 2024, after months of work, the first sign of life appeared. A clear signal came back containing not science data, but the health and status of the spacecraft. Voyager was alive. By June, all 4 of its active science instruments were back online, resurrected from the brink. But this revival has only deepened the mystery. Some fringe theorists have long claimed Voyager's mission was being watched, that the golden record it carries is not a message of peace, but a map. They suggest the communications blackout wasn't an accident, but a deliberate, non-destructive warning shot from something that patrols the space between stars. Now that Voyager is talking again, the information it's sending is more bizarre and unsettling than anything that came before, suggesting the probe hasn't just entered interstellar space, it's entered a whole new kind of reality. With its instruments back online, Voyager began to speak of the world it now inhabits. And it is a world, not a void. The first shock came from the magnetometer. It detected an interstellar magnetic field that is sharply tilted and far more powerful than models predicted. This wasn't just a gentle shift. It was like crossing an invisible wall where the rules of physics seemed to change. The readings suggest Voyager is flying through a zone of magnetic turbulence, a place where the galaxy's magnetic fields are tangled up like cosmic spaghetti. Then came the sounds. The plasma wave system, which measures the vibrations of interstellar gas, didn't detect the silence of empty space. Instead, it picked up a persistent, low-frequency hum. It's not a sound in the traditional sense, but a constant vibration of plasma, the thin soup of charged particles that fills the void. It's as if the space between stars is whispering, a constant cosmic murmur that permeates everything. What's more, the probe's instruments are recording massive spikes in plasma density like giant pressure waves or tsunamis rolling through space. Scientists believe these are shock fronts from ancient long-dead stars, the ghostly echoes of supernovae that exploded thousands of years ago, still traveling through the galaxy. Voyager isn't just drifting, it's flying through the wreckage of cosmic history. Truth be told, space is not an empty stage. It's more like an invisible, churning ocean with currents, weather, and the ghosts of ancient storms. This structured, humming environment is rewriting our understanding of the galaxy. We thought we were sending a probe into emptiness. Instead, we found a place with structure, texture, and a constant, unnerving whisper. But the hum is the least of our worries. The data coming from the cosmic ray detector reveals a far more immediate and terrifying truth about our tiny, fragile home. A universe of fire. Imagine for a moment that you've spent your entire life in a cozy, quiet house, never knowing what lay beyond your front door. You believe the whole world is just as calm and safe as your living room. Then one day you finally step outside and discover your house is the only thing standing in the middle of a never-ending Category 5 hurricane. That is exactly what happened to Voyager One. The moment it crossed the heliopause, the invisible boundary where our sun's influence ends, it was like a shield had been vaporized. The probe's instruments didn't just register a change, they began to scream. For decades, its cosmic ray detector had reported a steady, manageable trickle of high-energy particles. Suddenly, that trickle became a fire hose. The reading shot up, registering a hailstorm of galactic cosmic rays. The tiny, shattered hearts of atoms fired like microscopic bullets from the universe's most violent events. These particles are the shrapnel from exploding stars known as supernovae and the cosmic exhaust from the swirling maws of supermassive black holes. They tear through space at nearly the speed of light, carrying an energy that can shred delicate electronics and, more frighteningly, rip apart the very building blocks of life, DNA. The jump in radiation wasn't gentle or gradual, it was a brutal, instantaneous transition. One moment, Voyager was inside the relative calm of our solar system. The next, it was being sandblasted by the raw, unfiltered fury of the galaxy. This single discovery revealed a profound and deeply humbling truth. We live in a cosmic oasis. Our sun doesn't just give us light and warmth. Its massive magnetic field, the heliosphere, inflates a protective bubble around our entire solar system. It is a force field, tirelessly pushing back against the vast majority of this deadly radiation. We are shielded, living in a fragile paradise while the true nature of the galaxy rages just outside our door. Without this stellar shield, the constant bombardment could have sterilized Earth before life even had a chance to get started. But here's where the story turns from awe-inspiring to deeply disturbing. It gets weirder. The patterns of these cosmic rays aren't random, like you'd expect from a chaotic storm. Voyager's detectors have measured strange, almost organized variations. The particles seem to be flowing in non-uniform ways, as if they are being guided along invisible channels. It's as if the interstellar medium has natural highways and rivers of radiation that crisscross the void. Some astrophysicists are now wondering if Voyager is mapping a cosmic pressure system, glimpsing galactic structures larger and more complex than we can possibly imagine, like the invisible weather patterns of the Milky Way itself. This, of course, has thrown gasoline on the fire of conspiracy theories. Fringe scientists and thinkers have latched onto this data, asking a terrifying question: what if these highways aren't natural? Natural forces are typically chaotic and messy. These structures, some claim, seem too orderly. They argue that we are not simply observing a natural phenomenon, but charting the borders of someone else's territory. Are these channels artificial transit lanes for advanced civilizations? Or are they something even more sinister? Demarcation lines like cosmic keep-out signs that our little probe just brazenly ignored. Some have even floated the idea that there are signals hidden within the radiation itself, complex messages encoded in the particle flux that we are far too primitive to even recognize, let alone decipher. This isn't just abstract science fiction. Understanding these radiation zones is absolutely critical. This is the first real, direct map of the dangers that await any future human explorers. It's a map that shows where the cosmic storms are deadliest and where there might be quieter paths. The survival of anyone who dares to venture beyond our solar bubble might depend on the lines being drawn by this lonely probe. For now, Voyager is quietly creating the first real blueprint of the void, and every data packet it sends back adds another piece to a puzzle that is becoming more complex and more unnerving with each passing day. While this scientific mission paints a grim picture of the universe, Voyager's second, even longer mission is just beginning. As its plutonium power source slowly fades, its scientific instruments will go dark one by one. Voyager One will become a ghost ship, a relic of the 20th century destined to coast silently and eternally through the cosmos. Its journey is so long it's almost impossible to comprehend. In about 40,000 years, it will make a distant pass of a star called Gliese 445. But that's just its first stop. It will continue on, an eternal, silent wanderer in the vast, dark expanse of the Milky Way long after its creators have turned to dust. But Voyager is not just a dead piece of hardware. It carries a passenger, perhaps the most important artifact humanity has ever created, the Golden Record. Bolted to its side is a 12-inch gold-plated copper disc, our ultimate message in a bottle. This isn't just a simple plaque, it is a time capsule of Earth, engineered to survive the harsh environment of space for over 1 billion years. On it are 116 images of our world and our people. There are diagrams of our science and our bodies. There are the sounds of our planet: wind, thunder, a whale's song, a baby's cry. And there is our music, from the genius of Bach to the rock and roll rebellion of Chuck Berry's Johnny B. Good. It is without a doubt the most enduring monument our species will ever build. When our sun finally swells into a red giant and consumes the Earth in fire, that record will still be out there, pristine and intact, a final testament that we once existed. However, there is a much darker interpretation of its purpose, a fear that has haunted the mission since its inception. Some have argued for decades that the record isn't a greeting card, it is a profound and terrible liability. Here's why. The Golden Record contains a map. Etched onto its surface is a diagram showing the location of our Sun relative to 14 known pulsars, the galaxy's rapidly spinning lighthouse-like stars. It also includes a diagram of our solar system pointing out the third planet. To any civilization advanced enough to find the probe and decipher the diagrams, this isn't a friendly guide to the neighborhood, it's a treasure map. It's a set of galactic coordinates that says, "We are here." The team that created it, led by the brilliant Carl Sagan, made a monumental gamble. They bet on the kindness of strangers. They chose to believe that any civilization capable of interstellar travel would be wise and benevolent. But what if they were wrong? What if the first species to find this message isn't peaceful? What if they are explorers of a different kind, conquerors, who see the universe not as a place of wonder, but as a collection of resources to be plundered? The record gives them everything they need to find our fragile blue world. The images of our biology, the sounds of our vibrant planet, the expressions of our art. They might not be seen as a beautiful introduction, but as an intelligence report on a primitive, unshielded species, ripe for the taking. As Voyager continues its lonely journey into the cosmic storm, it is not just humanity's ambassador. To a growing number of people, it's a ticking time bomb. It carries a message of hope, but also a map that could lead to unimaginable danger straight to our front door. It is our legacy, our greatest scientific achievement, and perhaps our entire species' final fatal act of pride. Did we send a message of peace or a map leading something dangerous straight to our doorstep? Like and subscribe for more stories from the edge of reality.